Hello, good game. Welcome back, ghouls and goblins, and thank you so much for taking the time to hang out. I hope you're all having a magical day. It's tier list time. We have 19 new decks, from the best to the worst, everything in between. Midnight Hunt has been an absolute blast so far. A quick note, this will be the last version of this video without gameplay footage. Really cool. One of the community members stepped up and will be clipping highlights, which you can do as well through YouTube's new clip feature. Boop, 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 down below. Just grab your favorite part of any video and then it probably will get used in the highlight video. I would assume so if it was a good segment, right? And I really do appreciate everybody who's helping out with that. Thank you so much. So let's take a look at our tier list, and then we're going to showcase all of those new decks on the YouTube channel for this time around. And then, like I said, in the future tier videos, you're going to see vast improvements. And this has been something I've been trying to do for a while, but I keep forgetting, and the workload's pretty heavy with 2 decks a day, so it slipped through the cracks, but don't worry, I haven't forgotten. So, like the video to help support, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more cool content just like this, and maybe even support the channel by joining our Patreon. Let's go. Here we are, and here's the tier list. S through F, S being the best, F being the worst. But keep in mind, I have free-to-play starter decks. These are artisan, no rare, no mythic, consisting solely of commons and uncommons. These will be very easy for you guys to complete if you're new to the game. Do a couple drafts, do a couple sealeds, boom, you can make all of my free-to-play decks, which is amazing. All of these, again, conveniently located in a free-to-play playlist. We'll show you more on that in just a little bit. So we should start there with those free-to-play decks. We've got Milk, Baby Milk, I call it. It's that Workshop second cast deck. And then Mono Black Aristocrats. We call that middle class aristocrats, right? Because it's a free-to-play or budget build, which is really cool. Both of these decks are incredibly competitive, right? For what they are. It's insane, right? So definitely, if you're new to the game, check those out. Moving up into our E tier now, it's Boros Burn, Vampires within Rakdos colors, and then Gruul Werewolves. Some of my starter decks with, no, not starter decks, but the first decks that I made within Innistrad. Definitely different than starter decks. Let's make that distinction right now. Anyways, Boros Burn, really cool. A lot of instant speed damage, which is great. Plus we have the new Haste Flyer, which increases that spell damage that we're doing, which is absolutely cooling. The Adversary allows us to recast some of those spells from the grave as well. So very close to being a competitive deck, but I think it is just missing a little bit something. Obviously, you know, the Thermal Alchemist is in there, the Moonveil Regent is in there as well. So it's very close to being competitive, but there's a lot of life gain in the meta right now, and it's kind of holding us back. So we've got Quakebringer, we have the that other thing that we can pay 1 to shut down life gain, but it's not feeling like a tiered deck. It's lacking a little bit. It's fun, it's themed out, but again, it could use some more love. What could be potentially a little bit better, in my opinion, is Rakdos Vampires, red and black. You know, the Scion, the Floron, I believe his name is, allows you to look at the top X cards where X was the damage you did, put 1 into your hand, right? So this is insane value. The Vampire Socialite, making all of our other vampires pretty strong. And just the general value within vampires, low on that mana value curve, right? The 1 drops, the 2 drops, the 3 drops, they're very high, and it's really nice, and it makes a fairly consistent aggro deck, right? And we even have spells to support that, like Neonate's Rush, for example. So yeah, I really like Rakdos Vampires, and Gruul Werewolves. That's our last E ranked deck. Fairly competitive, however, it's missing a little bit, right? In a removal rich environment, it's not quite as much as we want it to be. We don't have many 1-drop werewolves. There's like the Fearless Pup as a wolf, right? So we're kind of left high and dry there. However, you know, it's really close, right? There's the Naturalist, we have Torloff, there's Arlen, right? So it is very, very close. I think, you know, we're just missing a little bit within that lower mana curve, that one drop, most specifically. The two drops, you can make a case for them being there for sure, but just the one drop is kind of sad, and it holds this deck back quite a bit, in my opinion. If we could get another 1 or 2 1-drop werewolves that were relevant within the meta, it would definitely help Gruul Werewolf's sake out for sure. So with that out of the way, moving into our D tier decks now, one of my favorite decks, which will not be D tier for very long. Let me tell you what. This is the Bant Flashback. We have Teferi's Infinite combo with the engine. Oh gosh, Lithoform Engine, that's the name of it. And of course we're using Lyre to cast everything from our grave again. Teferi untaps an artifact, a creature, and a land. We have the Root Creeper for 2 mana to play stuff from our graveyard with Flashback, which Teferi can untap, and it's pretty insane. But I do think the deck needs a little bit more love. I do think that we do have access to those cards, though, unlike the Gruul Werewolves. So you're going to see this Bant deck move up the tier list as we progress through the Midnight Hunt. Next up, we have, just copying Alrund's Epiphany with the newest and greatest card, Galvanic Iteration. It is what it is. I mean, Alrund's Epiphany is, well, a very, very good card. And when you're copying it, it's big time Sag, especially when the new copy card has Flashback and you can just recopy another Alrund the turn after, and you're just compounding turns at that point. It's pretty silly. And, moving on, we do have a new party deck, right? This is Orzhov Party, Jadar the Ghoul Caller. Holy Toledos. Now that is a good card. I love Jadar. We also have the new Cleric that will allow us to make humans when a human dies. So the cool thing about this deck is the whole deck is humans that fill the party roles, right? We have all 4 members of rogues, wizards, clerics, and warriors. In fact, we have 7 of each, so it's perfectly balanced, plus removal, which is really nice. They're all human. When the humans die, we're going to make those tokens, which is really cool. Plus, we have Jadar making zombies, so there's a ton of tokens in this build as well, which is a lot of fun. And then, of course, it's Squad Commander, Arc Priest, which is really cool for those party mechanics to get you out of the door, right? So those are the D tier decks. Into the C tier decks now. Simic Tempo, Simic Flash, whatever you want to call it. Delver of Secrets is busted. And then, the Adversary is in here for blue, which is a flash flyer. Very, very good. And then I forget the Barcore Wolf. I forget the name of it. But there's a 3/2 Wolf with flash for 3, which is great. Very, very good. So, we're casting creatures with flash, countering our opponent's spells, bouncing them, and just taking full control over the match. I absolutely love this deck, and I think as we continue to work with it, it's going to definitely become, at the very minimum, a B tier, but probably an A tier deck. I'm not sure if the Simic version can outpace the mono blue version, but I'm definitely going to be accumulating more data on that, right? Selesnya Life Gain, holy Toledos. Righteous Valkyrie is just so stupid. We get the Lunarch Veteran within Midnight Hunt here as well. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. So it's Lunarch Veteran, the Innkeeper, Righteous Valkyrie, and it's just so silly. It's such a good deck if it pops off. So you're really going to like the Selesnya Life Gain deck. And this is great. Like, if you're new to the game, one of the starter decks is called Lifeline. This would be an upgraded version of that, which is really cool. And if you are working with that deck and you've not made any upgrades to it yet, check out that starter deck playlist that I have. There's a free-to-play playlist and a starter deck playlist. I'll showcase both near the end of this video, so you guys are familiar as to where to look as to what I'm referencing. We upgraded all the starter decks. Very cool. And then we have the free-to-play decks, which are different from those, to clarify. Moving on, we have one of the greatest, discoveries of Midnight Hunt so far, and it's red and 7. This Planeswalker is silly. You'll see her in a ton of different decks. This is a Naya Landfall, red, white, and green. It's very similar to the Selesnya version. However, we're using Dire Strain to nuke our own lands to pull 2 out, and it doubles as removal, which is great if we need it. And then we have Waking the Trolls as well, so land destruction, plus we're ramping even more. And then, of course, Felidar Retreat. The Scoot Swarm is in here as well, which is pretty crazy. So it's just, a typical BM landfall deck. And, it's so much fun to play. Really, really cool. Moving away from that into our B tier decks, we have Boros Aggro. Oh my gosh. So this variant, and I've done this deck a couple different times, all very strong versions. The Goldspan Sentinel. It can pay 2 if you have Coven to gain hexproof from the color of your choice and be unblockable from that color. This is amazing. Paladin class, giving it double strike, dope. Plus we have Angel Fire Ignition, Trample, Vigilance, Haste, Indestructible, right? It really is cool. Plus it has Flashback. That's for 3 mana, cast it again for 4. Woof. We have Mono Black Aristocrats. Now this is the upgraded version. It's absolutely silly. The Morbid Opportunist is amazing. It's so good. And then, Jadar, right? Making zombies, making zombies, making zombies. There's the Champion, which gains +1/+1 whenever another zombie enters play, right? So drawing cards, dealing damage, because you bet your bottom dollar the meat hook's in there, gaining life, and, increasing the toughness and power of our creatures, which is sick. So, Mono Black Aristocrats or Sacrifice is very, very competitive right now. And then we've got Clerics, right? We have Orzhov Clerics, more of the same. Righteous Valkyrie, just like get out of here. And what makes it so terrible is the fact that you can tutor Righteous Valkyries into the play with Pyre of Heroes. You've got the Hero Font, Skyclave here as well, which can, bring those creatures back to the grave. And then all of this incorporated with, of course, the Lunarch Veteran. It's too much to handle. So the Clerics deck, I feel right now, has a super, super high advantage because the consistency of just like spamming Righteous Valkyries, it's there for sure. With this being said, we're now into our A tier decks. We've got another Boros aggro deck. This is a Boros Legion. We're focused on Sunrise Cavalier this time. It's an uncommon card. Let's start with that. Oh my gosh. So it's really accessible, which is great. It's 3/3 with Trample and Haste whenever day becomes night, so on and so forth. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, which is, it's going to become a 4/4, 5/5, without maybe 5/5 stretching, but 4/4 for sure at some point, which is amazing, right? And then, that's for 3 mana. And then we also have the Angel Fire Ignition again, focusing on the +1/+1 counters from Showdown, from Lunarch as well, and then stacking a lot of those counters on the Fireblade Charger, which is cool. But just Angel Fire Ignition is so sick, and the Sunrise Cavalier is really good for its value. Now we have Mono White. This is version 5, Milky Smooth. Oh my gosh. Sun Gold Sentinel is here as well. We have Paladin class. This is what inspired the other Boros deck. It's so great. The fact that you're unblockable with double strike and you can have protection. Wow. So this closes out games, and you only pay 2, so you can pay multiple times to gain unblockable for multiple colors. So sick. And then, the Adversary. We're second casting, going wide with Spirit Tokens. The Adversary buffs them all up. Plus, it's got life gain, which is going to help us in those aggro on aggro matchups, which we used to struggle a little bit, like against Mono Green, for an example, which is our next deck, Mono Green. Wow. There's a couple different ways to take Mono Green right now. We've got a very nice aggro build, which is what this is. There's also a decent mid-range build that I've seen from Covert, which is looking pretty spicy with Ren in it. So keeping it lower to the ground, Augur of Autumn. Oh my gosh. Playing lands from the top of our library. When we get Coven, we can also play creatures from the top of our library. That is so good for consistency's sake, right? You know, I've had multiple turns where it's like old growth troll off the top, old growth troll off the top, right? It's like that would take you turns to do, right? So the value that you can get from playing off the top of your library is insane. And you don't have to pay for like Ranger's Class. You have to power up however many times. And then if a land is there, you're screwed. This way, land off the top, creature off the top, creature off the top, right? Of course, only one land per turn unless you're getting around that, which we're not here, but it's an option in a more janky build. Into our S tier decks, you guys, my throat is about to collapse on itself. There is my favorite build so far, Simic Tempo. Holy, this has the Chariot. This has Ren and 7 in it. The Chariot is copying the Ren token, plus you have Quandrix Command, Decisive Denial, you know, for the fight effect, for the counter, for the bounce, for the +1/+1 counters. Oh my gosh. And then Alrund's Epiphany. You know what I mean? Just get wrecked. LOL. So Simic Tempo is so sick. And then Mono Blue Tempo. Delver of Secrets, the Spectral Adversary. Very, very good stuff. And then the Poppet Stitcher, right? So with the Poppet Stitcher out, we're countering spells. There's Flip the Switch. So Poppet Stitcher in play with a Flip the Switch, which is a counter spell. Make 2 zombies with Decay. And of course, once we have 3 zombies on our upkeep, Poppet Stitcher transforms. Our zombies lose Decay and become 3/3s, right? So we've got the Delver, which transforms into the 3/2 with flying. The adversaries are 2/1s with flying. Very nice damage. We have counter spells, we have bounce spells, and then, you know, all those zombies will add up, and it's simply too much. Decay is really, really good, and if you can get this Poppet Stitcher out, not be punished, or have protection for it, oh, it's going to be hard to lose some games, right? So that's one of my favorite decks of this set as well. So that is the tier list. Let me throw up my YouTube now. This is just like if you go to Hello Good Game on my channel, you'll get this video. You can probably pause that. First off, members only. These are exclusive videos for people who support my channel by becoming a member. It's really cheap, right? Get some cool content. A lot of discussions between me and other creators, which is unique, right? You're not going to find that anywhere else. Well, maybe you are. I don't know. And then the free-to-play. Sorry, not the free-to-play, the popular uploads, which just happens to be a lot of my free-to-play content, which is why I focus on that still, because it's what's brought me here, right? So check out some of the popular uploads. That's really cool. And then we've got our standard videos, all of our latest Mythic decks. People are getting typically 2 new Mythic decks a day. We've got new free-to-play budget beginner decks, you know, new decks within this category. Every month for sure. I'd like to do, you know, 1 to 2 a month, maybe 3, trying for 1 a week, but there's only so many of them that are competitive enough to showcase, right? And then some historic content, some brawl content, tools and tips, beginner guides, stuff like this, right? Which is not here, but should be if you go to the playlist. I mentioned this earlier, the 2022 starter decks. I'll put this on the homepage as well. It should be there now. But those are the starter decks that get upgraded, which I mentioned earlier, right? Which differs from the free-to-play decks, which are also here. So, also, if you just want to see my uploads in their most recent forms, just click on the videos tabs. It's what I do for all of the other creators. And then you get to see what's new, right? And then you can just typically look at the latest uploads, and, you know, it only takes a couple rows to go through all of the decks that I just showed you, right? So if you're interested in anything that I showcased today, you know, it's all right here, right? So check it out. Let me know what you guys think of it. And like I said, this will be the last tier list without any gameplay footage. In the future versions, we're going to have some gameplay from the decks that we're talking about while I'm talking about them to give you a better idea exactly what I'm talking about, right? So that should be cool, and a big thank you to everybody in the community who's been helping me accomplish that, right? So if you want to get in on that, it's just the clip feature right down below in each video. I'll pull it up. I'll show you. I'll show you where it's at. Boom. Our latest video, if you wanted to clip it, right here. You see that clip button? You'd clip it. It comes up with the thing. Boom, you'd share it. You can just send it to me, post it in the Discord, and that is amazing. And it'll probably, as long as it's good, make the highlight reel within the next tier list, which is cool. So, woo, that's all, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a magical day. Enjoy some more content like I just showcased. don't stop here. There's lots of cool decks to check out. And of course, let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll see you soon in the next. Cheers.